Yeah, hi, good morning and good evening. So, in the last class, we were discussing about the structural directive. It means we discuss ng if, ng for, and ng switch. So, how to write the conditionally render the elements and how to write a for loop. Those things we discussed in the last class. So, today's class, we are going to discuss about Angular services. Let me write here. Okay. So what is Angular service? So first of all, we just go back to the actual structure of your Angular application. So in Angular application, the whole Angular application is divided into various parts. Like it's like uh, a collection of modules, and for all the modules, we have a root module that's the app module. So in the module, we have a collection of components and services. So what is component is? So component is a collection of HTML, CSS, and the TS files. So this component represents the actual any portion of a UI part of the application, right? It's a portion of UI. It represents it's like cards. It can be a table. It can be any portion of your website UI. So this components will have HTML and CSS for display, and this TS file access the controller. Okay, so here is extra concept called services. So what is services is, so services is responsible to provide data. It's like a data provider and is also helpful to connect to data for backend. So whenever you want to connect the application to the backend services, to the servers, and to fetch data and provide data to the um, your components, and also it contains the main application business logic. So those things. So it is mostly for data provider and uh, application logic. Let's take a business logic and also the server side connections. Okay, like HTTP calls and all. Okay, this is a place where we use services. So first, I'll show you one thing. First, in the components, the component only will write the data and will display, and then we'll understand the problem of doing this in components, and then we'll switch to the services and how, in a better way, how services is going to provide a data and business logic and all this. Okay, so let's start with the component now, and then we'll go with the services in the last. So I have created this now, Angular services. Just I hit the command like this: ng new Angular minus services. So it creates the folder structure. Now let me add the bootstrap and let me load the application first. So I will copy the bootstrap. I paste it over here. Okay. So I have added bootstrap and let me connect to this application using angular.json. Let me grab the previous file. Yep, this one. So styles and scripts copy. Go here and change this styles and scripts. Okay, done. Let me close this and yeah, let me start this application first. So right click, open terminal. Yeah, I write watch ng minus Come on. Okay, now it is started. So go to the browser and 127.4200 enter. Okay, so I got a basic setup of this application. Now the plan is in Angular services, I will create two components. One is employee list one component, and another one employee uh, detail component. So I'm going to create two components and let's understand how it's going to work. And then we'll switch back to the services concept. So first of all, I delete this entire data. So this is coming from the app components.html. I don't need this entire story. Just delete it. Okay. So now it's gone. Okay. So here I create two components. So first I'll create employee list components. So what I do, I just go to the, I just create one folder that is components. And in this, I create the component nggc employee, just say emp, just say employee minus list, enter. Okay, it's created. And let me use that here. Before I use, I'll make one, what do you call, one navbar here. I'll just make a basic navbar of Bootstrap. Come on. Yeah, I'll give the class call navbar dark bg dark, and then anchor tag slash, give the class Angular services. Okay. So now below this, I'll add the employee components, employee list components. Right, app.employee list. So let's check how it works. Employee list works, yeah. So I go to this HTML. Okay, I don't need this. Yeah. So in employee list components, My plan is I need to fetch some data. I have to create some data, and I want to display a data here. It's like a list of employees. I want to display in the form of a table format. So to display the list of employees, I have used actually the random user.me. I will show you random user.me. So there's a website which generates a random user for every request. This one. So here you are gonna get uh, a collection. This every request you're gonna get one or single object. So what I made is I made actually multiple requests for this same API, and I fetch the list of. I mean, I just collected the various collection of objects, and I made one JSON file in my local. So I just show you that that's a person's. So if I open this, see here, I have an array as a huge set of array is around some 1600 lines. So this simple, it's just an array of all the employees objects. Like here is here is an object and one more object like that. Okay, so I just made it because if you want to create it takes time. So I created and let me just uh, open this and let me copy. Okay, so here in my employee.ts, I create a variable. Let employees is equal to not sorry. It's a TypeScript. Let's say public employees of type any array because I have to create an um, I have to create a this is called interface. So that's why I given just any. So here I'll just copy the array and then I'll paste it. Okay. So I have a huge array. Come on. My system become very slow. I don't know. Yeah. So I got an array. So now my plan is this array I want to display on my page in a table format. Let's do that first. So what I do, I go to the HTML, I create a table. So first I write on setup, on container, row, single column. Here I write a card and then card header. So here I'll write card body. So the card header I write BG dark and the text white. I write H3 employee listed. Let me give some margin top 5. Yeah, in employee list, let's take container fluid. Okay, employee list. So in this, I want to display a table of contents. So I just create a table, just T head, table row, and th. So I create around some 5 6 columns. Let's make a 6 columns. Okay, in this I'll make first serial number, and I won't display the person image because here we're gonna get the image from random user. So you get the person image as well. Serial number, image, and the person name. Let's take a full name and the person age and email, and also I display a person's what person address. Okay, these details I want to display, and let's convert this like a proper uh, bootstrap table. Let's make it a class called table and table hover. Yep, I want to keep the text in center. Okay, for t head I'll give the class called bg warning and text white. Okay, looks good. and I want all uppercase. Let's say text uppercase. Fine. And here I want to display the table body as well. So I write T body and in that table row. So here to display the list of employees over here, we have discussed already in the last class, that is one directive called ng4. So I'm going to use ng4 directive to loop through the all the employees array and display the data over here. So I write ng4 let employee of employees. Okay, and here I create one table data. As of now, just give one because I think I don't have serial number. Next, um, only the serial number has come. Yeah, image. So I need image. So how I get the images? I think I have it right. Yeah, I get the image like a picture dot large because that's object dot picture dot large. So, but here I want to display the image means you need image tag. Yeah, I write here image tag src equal to I use property binding for src. src is equal to employee dot picture dot large, and I'll get a class called img fluid and img thumbnail, and also I'll give some width and height. This width is some 70 pixels and the height also I just make 70 pixels. So let's say yes, I got all the person photos, and then the full name and age. Let me do that. So TD person name, I'll make employee dot. So name is having here name dot first, name dot last. You can give this title also. Let me do the name dot title, and same way, let's say employee dot name dot first, and also employee dot name dot last. So I'll get the person full name. Okay, and then age, email, and address. So age means dob.age. Email is direct email. So let's make td. Let's say employee dot dob dot age. Let's make some static years. And td. Let's make employee dot email. Anything else? Lastly, the address. I think I'll write td employee dot. I'll just make not complete address. I'll just make street is an object. Just make a city and country. That's it. City, comma country. City. So employee, not city. Is a location object. Yep. Essential location object. Location dot city, and here employee dot location dot country. Okay. So how I got is okay. Fine. So here I got the data, but I need some other one small setup. I'll give the class call uh, table warning, and some stripe table. I'll just make a table strip. Okay, fine. So this is how I want to display it. Employee list. I have see, but serial number has not come. Which so I got all the employees data in a list format. So we just use nothing special here. We just use ng for to display the employee data, and only thing is SRC, because SRC we have learned property binding, and that I have display. But only thing is this my array is doesn't have the IDs. So if you want to get the ID, you can use of index. So how to use of index in Angular is we can write semicolon, let I is equal to one global variable called index. So this I you can use over here. So let's say yes, I got 0, 1, 2, 3, but I want 1, 2, 3 onwards. So let's make a plus 1. So this I indicates the index. So index plus 1 is going to be the ID. Yes, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 29. Yes, 29 elements are there in my application. Okay. One last thing here. Let's say the table, uh, and then t body, not t body, yeah, t body, space table row, space table data. I write some font weight, bold. This I want to display the bold text. Okay, looks good. So I got some data here. That's the employee list components. Next, I want to create another component. That component name is employee detailed components. So employee detailed component also using a same set of data, but not display in a table format. I want to display this employee details in a card format. So each employee I want to display a nice card. So let me do that, and then we'll come back to the lastly what is exactly the Angular services. So let me create that part now. So how to create that uh, is employee detail components. I create a new component now. So here ng gc employee minus detail. Okay, it's got created, and my plan is I'm going to attach that employee details about this. Let's say employee detail components. So I write app dot employee detail. Okay, so yes, it was connected, and let me go there. Go to HTML. I delete this, and here I need the same employees data, but I need to in a table. I mean cards format. So for that we need to have a data. So I'll just go to our existing employee list component. I just grab this entire array which contains a huge number of lines. Okay, I got this employees array. So I'm gonna use it for my employees details also. So let's employees, sorry, it's a type script. So public employee, I think we can paste it, right? I have just copied, paste. Okay, so public employees is equal to one array. So I have a data in my employee details components. So this I have to loop it. So back to here, what I do is, um, okay, let's like h3, or we'll do one thing. We'll write one container, one row. So in this one column, I write some h3 employee details, and another row, just make some margin top 5. Here also will take container fluid. Okay, so here in the row, I'll make a column, less column MD 4 column layouts. in that one card header, and another card body. Come on. Yeah, I got a card, and this card I'll make again same like BG warning and text white and the text in the center. So here I display the person name. So let's make some H3. So person name. How to display the person name is uh, here again I use ng4 directive to display the multiple cards. So here uh, each call MD4 one card. Okay, let's call MD4 one card, two card, three cards like that. So what I do, I just make a loop of this one. So I just write ng 4. So ng4 let employee of my employees. So if I write, come on, refresh. Yes. So I have a multiple collection of cards. Okay, so I'll just make some gap over there. Let's make some each card. Let's make some margin top and bottom. Let's say my3. Okay. So here I'm going to display this each person data. So first of all, in the header, I display the person name. So person name, how you display is, I think we have already done that here. Person name. So person name was this one. I copy that. So go to here. I'll paste it here so that you get each person name for each card. Come on. Yep. So I got a person name, and I think it's fine. Along with this, in the card body, I'll just make a BG light uh, warning. Let's say light orange. I'll just give this class for my style sheet. Style sheet dot BG light orange. Let me give the background color some light coral noise. Okay, but it's more contrast color. I'll just change this. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so here I want to display the person photo and all. So here I'll do one image tag SRC. I have to change the image. I think the same image, right? I'll grab it from the previous list components dot HTML. Yeah, here we use the image. This is detail components. Where is the list component dot HTML? Yeah, this TSCS is not required. Yeah, let me grab this image and use it over here in my HTML. I paste it. So I think width and height not required because it's a card. It will display more bigger image. Okay, but I want to keep it center. I can write text center. Okay, so below this I want to display the person age, email, and the address. So for that I'm gonna use another one UL tag, one list item. So I'll give the class called list list group, and this here I'll give the class called list group item. So here the age, so age is gonna be um expression. We can use the age. So how we use the age is like this. Sorry, yes, I got age, and the same way I need the copy age, email, and address. So this is email, and this is going to be the address. And let me grab that details here. Email, that's employee.email. Let me copy that, and here I'll paste it, and address. Copy this and write it here. Okay, so let's check what has happened. Let me give some margin top to. Okay, fine. Can you make column D3 or something? If I make 3, it's little narrower card, like 4 cards you can accommodate. Fine. But here it's become little up and down because it contains some more data. Uh, do one thing. Let's make only the city. I don't need the country. Yeah, looks good. Fine. So now here, and this heading also is more. Heading is I make some H5. Okay, looks good. See here. Okay, it took much long time because you had to prepare this cards and all UI parts. Okay, so now plan is uh, employee details is one component which is using a data. So let's see here. Actual concept starts now. So employee details is one component and employee list also one component. So employee details is using a data, and this data I just looped and display all the data in a form of cards. And the same way in the employee list, I have taken a same set of data and I have displayed in a table format. Okay, looks good. But thing is, what exactly this component? So component is yes, it represents a part of UI on the page. This is one component and this one component. But thing is, what is the responsibility of the components? So component will have actually the HTML, CSS, and TypeScript. So this particular TypeScript is just acts as a controller. So what is meant by the controller is it only deal with the portion of the UI. It means if any event happened in there, if any event is happened. I mean, when you trigger an event in the UI, so that event handling thing, okay, and any data you want to display, and this complete control only will going to take care in the components, and along with that, any data you want to support for that component. So data actually you must not keep in a components. See here, the problem in this approach is here we are using a same number of, I mean, same data, and employee list also we are using a same data. So for the same data, I have made 2 copies. See, employee details component.cs. I mean, I just created an employee's data, and this around it's taken me around some 1600 lines. Okay, and the same type of data I have also taken in the employee uh, employee list component.ts also. I have taken around 1600 plus lines of code. But generally, just think about, as of now it is a static data. So this data, static data, you have taken over here, but this not actually you're going to write it. This data has to come from another responsible uh, thing in Angular is Angular service. So the actual data provider is going to be the service. So this data has to come from the Angular service. And you must not hard code data. So this concept we'll discuss when we have server side connections like HTTP modules and all. But as of now, the data has to come from an Angular service, but not hard code in the components. So how the service is going to provide a data for the various components. So let's have a look. See here. If I take an example, yeah. So assume this is your Angular module. So in that I have 2 components. One is This is employee list component, and this is employee details component. This is, let's take employee list components, and this is going to be the employee details components. Okay, so these two components require a same set of data. So if both are require same set of data, so never create a copy over here and here. So it's not actually it's mean for, because it just component means it just was only a controller. It's not actually data provider. So for this reason, we have to take another thing in Angular, that's Angular service. So we had to create a service. So that's name I'll give the class called it's employee service. Okay, so this is actually the data provider. So it is going to provide a data to the list and also to the employee details. Okay, so how to create a service? Generally, how to create a component? You're gonna enter the command called nggc and the component name, right? That's the name of the component. Same like that, we're gonna create a service also. Again, using Angular CLI, that is nggs, s for service, and then your name of service. So this is actually content data provider and the application business logic. So let me create the service, and then how this is going to provide data to this, because how this data is available for these two, we are going to understand now. First, let me create a service. Before I create a service, uh, in this app, because I have a components folder, I don't have services folder. So I will create a new directory called services. Okay. So inside I want to create a service. So I had to create a service using Angular CLI command, nggs, and name of the service. So I go to, I just select the services and open in terminal. Yeah, here just say nggs for service, and just say employee minus service. And okay, so it's created an employee dot so employee service dot service. Oh, sorry, blunder mistake, because two times service has come. So service has an extension, but I don't need to create again employee minus service dot service. It's not looks good. I'll do one thing. I delete this. I create again. Yep, I think it's deleted. Yep. Let me create again. It's not employee service again. Just say just employee. Just create hyphen service and all. Yes, I got a proper name now. Employee.service.ts. Okay, let me go there. Services, employee dot service. Yes. So this is actually the example of service. You can understand the difference between a component and service. See, in a component, you will be having, let me go to top. In component, we have at the rate components one annotation, so it's called metadata of this, so which is having a selector, template, url, and style. So this is responsible to display the UI part. So it's having a UI things has configured in the metadata. Same like that, if you see the service, it is having injectable. So it means it is the data provider and which will inject that data to the dependent components. Okay, so that is the injectable annotation, and here employee service. Okay, so how the service is going to provide a data is, there are some steps actually. If you want to understand this, I just make a steps. The very first step, you have to create an Angular service. So once you create an Angular service, I tell you how to create a service. Nggc, the service name. Okay, so once you create a service, you have to register the service with app module. So you have to register this with the app module, because we have to inform to the app module that yes, I'm using a service called an employee service in my application, you have to register that. Okay, after you register, then uh, how to use them in your application is I tell you. First, I have to register this with app module. So how to register is go to the app module.ts. So here I have to import it. So I write here import. I'll make employee service. Yeah, import it from employee.service, and this I have to use it as a provider. So we have to declare as a provider because it's a data provider. So this we declare this as a provider. That's the second step. So first step you have to create an Angular service, and that you have to register with. I just make here okay Angular service, not Angular service, it's employee service, and that I have registered as a provider. So after that, I'll just create some data here, and then I'll tell you how to use that with components. So first of all, I will copy this employees. Let me, I mean, shift. Okay, let me grab this data. I'll just cut this. I keep in employee service.ts. Okay, so only one copy I have. I deleted, and also I go to employee list.ts. Here also I don't need the data. I delete the data here. Okay, now it's a clean code which doesn't have any employees, and here details also which doesn't have any employees. But if you don't have any employees, so what happened? Nothing gonna display here. I think it's not refreshed. Acha, it says employees is doesn't exist over there. I'll make some empty data here. Public employees is equal to I take an array empty array, and I'll go with the same employee empty array in my mm, list also. So public employees is empty. So if anything is empty, come on, it's not refresh. Employees doesn't exist. Dude, it's not actually reloaded. Employee list is empty. Okay, I save it. Employee details also I save it, right? How is possible? One second. Employee details is having employees is empty. Then what is doing here? Employees, yes. It should not contain data. Oh, see, data is empty. I do one thing. I just restart one because I don't know. Come on. Okay, it is started now. See, yeah, now it's back to original. So I have employee array is empty, and here also employee array is empty. So empty data has come. Actually, this data I want to provide from my Angular service. So let's back to the service. What's happened here? I have taken an array. So I create a function to fetch or provide data. So let's say I just create a public get all employees, get all employees one method here. So it's just going to return employees. This dot employees returns. We just take an return type is any array. Okay. So now simple what I have done is I've taken this data from both the components. I just keep it only one copy in the service, and this is going to give the data back. Okay. So when you call this function, I'm going to get this data. So fine. So now this thing is, now what you have done, instead of creating data in the both the cases, I just keep the data here. But how this data is going to be available for both of these components is there is a design pattern concept, that is dependency injection. So how the data is going to provided for these two is dependency injection. It means this employee list component and employee details component both has to register themselves that they both are dependent on employee service. So because they need a data, right? So data is there in employee service, so employee service has to provide data. So these two are dependent on the data provider called service. So first they have to register themselves to get data from a service, so that if whoever register as a dependency, so that this is going to provide a data to them. So how to register as a dependency the employee service in employee list and details is you have to declare this employee service in a constructor of these components. So how you do that is go to employee details now, here in the constructor, because constructor is a special function which is going to execute whenever this uh, this particular component has been created. Okay, so here in the constructor you have to register the employee service, because we are dependent on, because this employee details is dependent on employee service. So you have to register this service in a constructor. How you do that is you can take a private, you can take a variable, let employee service of type employee service. So it's got imported employee service from the service. Yeah. So this is how you register a dependency with service. Okay, so once you register, then automatically your Angular is going to inject this employee service to the components. So once that is available for us, and we can start calling this employee service. So here we have one function, sorry, one method that's called ng on init. So this is one lifecycle method of an Angular component. So what is that is ng on init. Means whenever this ng component has completely initialized, I mean, it's got created and it's ready. This function, this method is going to call init method. So it is for initialization purpose. Any data you want to assign, any data you want to provide over here for initialization purpose, you can initialize them in this method. So here I need to fetch the data. So this is to register so that the Angular is going to provide the data for your component, and how to use that is you can use it in the ng on init. See, till now there is no data because employees array is empty, but I have to get the data from using this service. But this service is having a function or method called get employees, which will return the employees details. So I do here this dot employees, my this local variable is equal to this dot underscore employee service, because this particular service dot get all employees. Okay, so
So
whenever
one quick question. Actually, I did not get this constructor. Can you explain it once more? Like what are we doing here? On the constructor private underscore employee service. This employee service is our service, right, sir?
yeah, yes,
And underscore employee service is a kind of a
it's a
variable.
variable, it's just a variable. This variable of type we just declare a name of type string, age of type integer, like that.
Mhm.
So it's a variable. You can take anything, you can take abcd also. Okay, so it's a
A
name.
variable of type that employee service, right?
Yes,
So
yes. So if you declare a constructor inside a constructor like this, so that what happened, this Angular is going to provide, is going to inject this employee service to your application whenever this got created, because constructor is a special function which executes when this created, right? So
right.
when you declare it as a dependency, it's like a dependency you have declared. So if you declare like this, so as soon as this is created, Angular is going to give you the object of employee service here. So that object you can use it to fetch the data.
Okay.
So
So
I'm
in this
using,
case, what will be? Can we go on employee service just once?
yeah,
Because it, I know it will give the. So this will gives us the employee list of array, right?
yes,
There's
yes,
so that we will get back in this component then.
yes. Actually, you want to
Okay.
get this data, you need to have an object of this this class, right? So
Right.
it's a class again. Service is also a class, right? If
Mhm.
I see here, see export class employee service. If you want to get call this functions of this class, you have to create an object of that. So how are you going to create an object is, uh, generally this Angular is going to give you the object as soon as this is created. It means if you declare it here in the constructor, so this Angular is going to give you an object automatically, and this object you can use it to call it.
Okay.
So,
Got it. Got it.
uh,
Thank
I have a question, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, here we are creating here we are creating this object like for this employee service.
hmm.
Instead, we can we write manually like to create object like
That's called normal dependency. Wait, I explain the concept. Thing is, if you want to understand dependency injection concept, actually we will have discussed this in TypeScript class only. Normally, if you create an object, right, it is completely dependent on that one. I mean, if you create a normal employee service, it is dependent
mm,
on that one. But whenever in future this got changes, you have to again come and change over here. So it's tightly coupled. But if you declare it inside a constructor, so whatever the changes are happening here, which is not gonna apply here. I think if you want to know this, I think it's there in the notes. I think I shared the notes. Here, if you go
mm,
to,
Yeah, actually, I know the concept in actually in C sharp. Rather than creating the object, we pass as we create as
yes, yes,
interface.
that's
And
that's called dependency injection. I show you property binding. Yeah, this is over. This is over. This
This
is
is directives. Angular
yeah. See,
services.
Angular services. So here, see, without DI and with DI. So without DI, suppose you have a car object. So this car object is having two properties. One is engine and tires.
Yes.
So you can create those objects. Suppose you have an engine one class and tires one class. So you can create those objects in the constructor in this way. Like this dot
Yes.
engine equal to new engine and new tires. If you
Yeah, we
just
can
create it, you can use it.
use that
Okay.
objects.
But
Yes.
if you write in this way, so what you have
Mm.
to do is first you have to create the engine object and then you have to
And
create a
create
tiger object and then you have to
tires.
pass it to the car. Okay. But in future, if the engine is having an extra parameter, you have to create that also and you have to pass it. So it's a tightly dependent
Okay.
on this engine object. But now
Okay.
if you declare a constructor with only dependency object, so that
Mm-hmm.
this is no need to change. This particular code we don't need to change. And in the backend, whatever, how you create the engine with old parameters or new parameters, it doesn't matter how you create it, but still this particular data, if you pass it, it accepts. So instead of you creating yourself, so the someone is there like a provider and which is going to inject to you the actual object and that is you're going to use it here. So
Just
that
here we
response,
like if you're adding any additional parameter, we don't want to like we can directly pass to that
yes, yes.
services.
So in our class, we doesn't bother, we didn't bother like I mean what data is coming. We just get the object as it is, we'll use it.
Okay.
So that provider is going to bother about how it's going to create it and it's going to inject it to our application.
Okay. Okay.
So
I got
in
it.
this concept, the service also will inject that object to the employee list and details. So how you declare it is in the constructor.
Constructor.
Yeah. So I made in the constructor private employee service, and I used that object only to use my
That
caller class. So
function.
I got employees, and these employees I'm assigned to this variable. So what happened? Just check, see, I got the data back. All the employees has
Yeah.
been displayed. And what about employee list? Employee list is not done. So let me go to the employee list components. Yep, here I can take private underscore employee service of type employee service. Yeah, I have declared as dependency and I can use it here. So this dot employees is equal to this dot underscore employee service dot get all employees. So when you call this, you get this data again, and that data will be injected to the employees, and that is going to display data here. See, I got data back to the
Mm.
application. Okay, so this how, and now check in employee details, there is no copy of data. We are dependent on the service. And employee list
Services.
also, we don't have its own copy. We are dependent on the service. And even in the service also, we must not hard code data. See, because in real-time application, we
Yeah.
don't need to hard code data. But this data has to come from a server. So it means this service is dependent on HTTP module, and that module has to provide you the data. So that we will understand when we discuss the HTTP modules concept. Okay, so that
Okay.
I'll discuss in the next class. But here, one extra thing I want to tell you is uh, we need to filter. Like I want to apply a search on employees, and I want to filter based on the full name, uh, like uh, like ascending order, descending order, like sorting. So that
Mhm.
we should know first, and then we'll tell you how to get the data from the server as well. So first we'll discuss in today's class. Tomorrow we'll discuss HTTP. Now we'll
Mm.
discuss how to search, how to make a search operation on my this application. So for that,
Sure.
I'll just take the list to the top and this cards to the bottom because I want to show on the list. So here I just cut this, I just exchange here. So first list is going to display. Yeah, I got a list. So here I'll make us a search box. So where we can search for employee name, and that employee name with that employee name only it has to come over here. So let's make a search box on top of this employee list. So let me go to employee list, HTML. Yeah, here I
Excuse
write.
me.
Huh,
Yeah, I have a doubt.
huh,
In services, we are now like we are writing this data.
yeah,
Um, so instead of that, like we can add one like JSON file and can we import that to the service file?
JSON file.
Hmm.
Actually, this Angular, we can't read files from the local JSON file. You have to do the HTTP module for that because we don't
Okay.
have any file system module kind of in Node like Node.js,
Mm-hmm.
because that's only
Yeah,
possible with
yeah. With
Node.js. That's
Node.js.
the installable, huh?
Yeah.
So this is the browser side, right? So it's same like
Yes.
normal JavaScript thing only. Because we can't use
Mm.
that now local JSON file.
Yes.
If you want to use
Yes.
that also using Ajax way, you can do it. But Ajax
Mm-hmm.
concept, you want to use Angular, you must use HTTP module only.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I just take a container and then I write one row, one single column D6. Yeah, here I write one form, data division with the class called form group. In this input type is equal to text, and class form control, and let me give some placeholder, employee name. Let me give some margin top, a margin top 3. Okay, let's make a search button. So I write another division. Let's say this normal button. The just type is equal to button, and with the class called btn minus warning, and I'll just take something called search. Actually, button also not required. We can just make type as it is, right? Okay, we don't need button also because I just make a type directly. Okay, so here, um, okay, I have a search box. So in the search box, whatever I'm typing, like when I type the first name, because I want to filter out with a person based on the first name. So when I type any character, so that character specific data only has to come in a list. But before we do that, I want to display the, I mean, the count also, because we have to easily verify how many number of employees is coming instead of going through the each and every serial number. So we can just make a count first. So to display count over here, I write one row, single column, I write H3. So total number of employees. Okay, I want display total number of employees. So go to the employee list.ts. Here, let me write a public employee counter. Employee count is equal to, I can take it as null, empty. Okay, so this employee count I want to display on my page. Employee list. Yeah, here I write employee count. Okay, so as of now it is null, so there's no number. So I want display that, but where you display is, yeah, ng on init. I write this dot employee count is equal to this dot employee employees dot length. So what is the length of employees, and that length I'm going to display as a count. So yes, it's got display 29 employees total, 29 employees displayed. Okay, total. And then when I make a search, it has to reduce as per the search key. Okay, so now here I want to type a character for search. It means this character, it has to catch at the backend component side as well. It means I need to make a two-way data binding with this one and the components. To make two-way data binding, I need to have a ng model. If you want to use ng model, you must import one forms module for your application. It means you have to go to the app module. You have to import the forms module. Let's say import. Here I use forms module, and let me import that as a imports. Okay, and then you can use that here. So I create a variable for the search public. So say employee search of type string is equal to null, and you can take the count of type number, employees of type any array. Okay, fine. So this employee search variable, I want to two-way data binding with the HTML and this components. So I'll go back here. I'll make a ng model. But before you use ng model, this has to have a name attribute. I'll make a name attribute as some user, not user, employee. Okay, and then let's say ng model. I write employee search. Okay, so now I want to see that employee search data also, so that I can use that below employee search. Okay, I want to cross check is data binding is happening or not. So I want to use the variable also. So let's check when I'm typing something. Yes, it's working. So it is two-way data binding with the application. Now, thing is, whenever I search for something, whenever I enter a character, so I want to connect that, I mean, filter out this data. So once it is two-way data binding, and when I enter a character, this is an event called key up events. So when the key up event happens, I want to filter out this data. So key up happens means I need to make an event. It's a key up events, and let's call a function to filter data. So I will create a method here. Let's say public filter employees. Okay, I have to call this. Let's say filter employees, and we don't need to pass this object here because we already do this employee, this two-way data binding, because it's only available in this variable. We can use that directly here. Okay, so filtered employees. So what you do is you have to filter this all the employees based on the search query using a first name. So what I do is this dot employees is equal to um, can I get the employees using, can I do this dot uh, employee um, employee service dot get all employees. Okay, dot filter. So in this I can have a function. Here you get the each employee. See what I'm doing is I'm just doing employee dot get employees because I get all the employees dot filter. So when I filter all employees, I get each employee object. In that you can make a condition. What is the condition is depend on the employee search. So I have to return employee dot each employee dot it's a variable called uh, name. It's a name dot first. It's a name dot first. I want to do that. So employee dot name dot first um, uh, dot match with. You can use actually match function, not triple equals to match with this dot employee. Where is that? Employee search. This dot employee. It's not working. This dot employee search. One net name dot post dot match with potentially invalid reference to access the class field via this necessary class. Then no. This dot employee. I use it. Employee dot name dot first is matched with this dot employee search. I think it's correct. Okay, so let's me check the data now. As of now, I got 29 records. When I enter this person name A, if I enter A, oh, it's not working. What's the problem? Employee dot name dot first. Yes, it is from the employee dot name dot first. Okay, and that is matched with my search. Potentially invalid reference to access the class field via this of an nested function. And then can we use triple equals this dot employee, still not giving. One second. Can I say this dot employees? But this doesn't matter. We can get from local or service. Yeah. So employee dot name dot first equal to employee dot employee search is correct only. Mm, Actually, it should be a math function only. Match with this dot. Can you just declare and don't assign anything? Any error are we getting? Inspect. Yes, I got cannot read property employee search of undefined. Okay, okay, okay. It is not declared. Acha, I made it. Let's say null. Now, yes, it is declared. Cannot read property employee search of undefined. Why undefined? We are getting data, right? Hmm, filter employees. Actually, we are getting data. Can we do one thing? Can we, um, can I pass the employee search over there so that I can use it? I'm just trying now. Let's say employee search keyword I'll take. I'll just use that over here. Now happy. Okay. Yeah. Employee search I'm passing over here and that is taken. I think it will work now. No error. It means, oh, it's working. But if you don't add anything, if I enter G, okay, refresh GA, something is coming. GA is there in the first name. Okay, 1 minute. This dot employee is equal to this dot filter, and we can do this or else this function match. Okay, it's working, but the count is not changing. I'll just change the count as well. I write the same thing here. Okay, so I just search A, B. Yes, working. Okay, so I tell you what I have done here. So first of all, for this variable, for this text box, I have made a two-way data binding with the variable that is employee search, and this employee search I'm passing whenever you're typing anything inside of this one as a key up. So here I'm doing when I go back to this HTML. See, when the key up happens in the text box, I'm passing this particular variable to the function for the search key. And here, based on the search key, I'm filtering out. But only thing is, generally in JavaScript, we write a triple equals function. I mean, triple equal operator. Here we have to use the math function. So see, I'm just getting data from the services dot filter. You get each employee, and I'm just filtering based on this employee first name. So employee dot name dot first is dot match employee search. But so it how it works. So I just make a D. Okay, one problem is there here. What is that? Is see this person name is AD, but when I say AD, data is not coming because I'm typing. If I type capital AD, see, if I type capital AD, data is coming. But if I say lowercase AD, data is not coming because the cases doesn't match. You can do. I think this kind of concept you have done in JavaScript class. Uh, dot to you can convert the case to the same case for both. You can say to uppercase and my search also dot to uppercase. If I make it uppercase, so this case and this case both are matched. So what are the character you enter? It exactly matches. It gives you the data. So let's check. If I enter lowercase a d, sorry a d, yes, now it is coming. If I say capital A D, also is coming. A D and capital A D, that's working fine. And one more thing is, it starts with AD, but what if I given space AD? See, no data, but we don't know, right? The client is giving you space and not. See, as soon as I give a space, nothing matches. Okay, so for these kind of situation, how to resolve is you can make a trim, because if you do trim, it remove the extra spaces before and after. That's the best way. You can say trim and to uppercase dot trim. So if I trim like this, so if you give a space also, no problem. If I give multiple, see, if I give spaces and then I enter a AD, see it works. If I give some space also, no problem, it works perfectly. Okay, if I say space GAB, yes, it's working. Okay, so you have to make sure convert to the same case and also make sure you trim it, because we are not sure the person is giving it the space or without space. So if you trim it, it will take care about this removal of spaces before and after, and that's going to display over here. Okay, this is called a filter of employees. And here, instead of one more thing, instead of key up event, you can also use input events. Both works. Okay, if I say input event also, let's say AB. Let me refresh. Yeah, AB. AB is working. Capital AB. Oh, it's not working now. Dude, Gab is working. Sorry, it's AD, right? Okay, okay. AD. Yeah, it's working. MA. Yes, it's working. Fine. You can make either input event or key up event. If you are happy with input key up, you can keep it as key up only. Okay. So this call employee search, and I want to filter also, because I want to filter the data uh, based on. You can make a what do you call icons here. When I click on the icon, I want to filter them ascending or descending order as per the names. If you want to filter them like that, I just show you for first name, full name. You can make it for age and all. So I just use it a full name. So here I need two icons. So for full name HTML, in the th, I'll make some two icons. Let's take I tag with the class fe minus arrow all circle. Let me do one thing. Arrow, let's say caret down, and one more. Let's say caret up. Actually, first up and then down. Let me cut this. Keep it. Okay. Okay. I have two icons, up and down. But the thing is, I don't want to display this two at a time. Either up or down, anyone has to display. Um, for this, I create a variable boolean. Let's say public, something called mm, name ascending is equal to of type boolean is equal to false I taken, and this based on this value I'll update this data. My But before wait, before we do all this, first we'll make this example has to work, and then we'll see this story. Yeah. Just forget about that. I have two icons. One is up arrow, one is down arrow. So when I click on up arrow, it has to be in a ascending order. When I click on down arrow, it has to be in a descending order. Let's make name ascending. Okay. Employee name ascending. Employee name ascending order. So what I do is I just make a public employee name ascending order. Yep, here I have to filter this. I mean, I have to sort them using ascending order. So how to sort is generally we have a function called sort. I write like this. If I say um, return, not return, you can just say this dot employees dot sort. Okay. So if I just do the sort, just see here. If you have only an array of string, if you have an array of string, so it automatically it does the ascending order because only each variable is string only as alphabetical order. But thing is, each element is not a string, each element is an object, and that too I want to filter them, and I mean I want to sort them based on the first name. So how you do that is you can customize this sort, because if you open the sort, see internally one compare function is there. So this function will give you two, because first and second element we're going to give, and that we are going to compare using this type of syntax. So this array dot sort a comma b is a minus b. So it returns either multiple values, like I tell you the values. It returns, this function returns either 0, 1 or minus 1. So 0 means no sorting, 1 means ascending, and minus 1 means descending. So how it works is, first I write a function. So sort, here you have a function. So in this you're gonna get two values. The first element and second element you have to compare both. It's one comparison, starting algorithm with comparison. I'll take a comma b. So a represents the first element and b represents the second element. So like that, the next elements also will come. Like this, next time this represents second element, this represents third element, like that. So based on its first name, I had to compare. So what is my plan is, if a is equal to b, it means if a and b, not a and b. Let's take the first name, right, based on the name. But each element is, you're gonna get each object, first object, second object, but how to get the name of it, how to get the name, name dot first, name dot last. Yeah, I will take like this. Let first is equal to um, a dot name dot first, and let last is equal to b dot name dot first. Okay, let's take it's a second. Okay, so first and second I have taken. So I write a condition in this way: if first is equal to second, the first and second both are matching, you can just say return 0. 0 means no comparison required. You can display any of them. If the first is less than second, if the first variable is less than second, you can just say return 1. It means it ordered first and then last. Next, if the first is greater than second, I just return, sorry, return -1. Okay, this how it expects actually the integer to the comparison of variables. So this is how you compare. If both are equal, then 0. If first is less than, it means ascending. If other one is descending. So like that, you have to return an index. I mean, I just return the number. So now I have to call this function when I click on the up arrow. So I go to the HTML. Here I just write click events. I say employee name ascending order. But I think we have not written the data. Okay, return this dot employee dot sort. Okay, because it returns the whole employee as per my sorting logic. If we don't write this, normally its own data, because its own strings will be sorted. But I have customized it in my own way based on the first name. Let me check once. If I click on up arrow, something has come. Aja, it's made in a reverse order. I think it should be a -1. It should be a +1. Okay. If I click on up arrow, yes, alphabetical order is come A to all, and this is last. Okay, and then let's make descending order. Let's call a same. Let's get the same kind of function here. So employee name descending order. Let's say DESC. But only thing you have to exchange. This has to be 1, and this has to be -1. Descending order. So I have to call this when I click on this button. I right click. So employee name descending order. So let me test the application now. So go here. When I click on up arrow, it is ascending order. When I click on down arrow, descending order. Yes. So it is working as per the example, ascending and descending. But thing is, you can even search also. Let's take AD. Let's say A, 20 people. Let's make MA. Okay, two variables. If I say ascending, descending, yes, it's working. But I don't want to display both the way. I mean, both the icons here, because it's not looks good. I want either one icon, either up or down. For that case, I just make a proper icon. I don't need this FE minus arrow all circle up, FE minus arrow all circle down. Yeah, I needed two icons, up arrow and some other arrow alt FE minus arrow all circle down. Just a minute. I'll be back in just 2 minutes. Yeah. So when I click on up arrow working, down arrow working, but I don't want to see both the icons. I need to see only one icon. So you can just use ng if directive to control of this, either one to display. I'll do one thing. I create one more variable. Let's say public. Let's say employee. Let's say employee sort colon boolean is equal to, let's take a false. Okay, without sort I'll take, and I want to toggle that when I make when you click on ascending, I want to toggle back to descending like that. So this dot employee sort is equal to, I make not this dot employee sort, because if it is sorted, I'll make it unsort, like just make it true to false and false to true. And I make this over here also. So whichever you click, it has to go for the opposite. Okay, if it is sort, convert it to not sort, and if it is sort, convert to not sort, like that. And then based on this sort, I want to display those elements. I'll make here star ng if employee sort, and let's make here star ng if not employee sort. So either one will display on the screen. Let's check. Just one, up arrow, down arrow. Either one is displaying now. Okay, and you can even search over here. Let's say ma some data. So down arrow, up arrow. Yes, it's working. So this how it works. Okay, and any questions? Hello.
No, sir. I think good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Please
No
fine.
send
worries.
us this the
Yeah,
ideas.
do one thing. Based on the same function, they can try for either age or email, so you
Mm,
understand more
yeah.
clearly. And then yeah, that's about the services. And tomorrow's class, we'll do a same example, but not just hardcode data in the service, because I don't need to hardcode data in the service. I have to, I have to deploy this to online, like myjson.com. I have to upload, and from there I have to get that. That's again HTTP module. So tomorrow we are going to discuss the HTTP module. So how to do the HTTP calls
Okay.
from the Angular application, and also exception handling. So how can you handle the errors if something
Okay.
went wrong? Because I want
Okay.
to display that error messages on my screen. Okay, so those things we'll discuss, and then we'll continue with the routing concept. Okay, so
Okay.
that's it, enough for
Sir,
today.
one
And
question. Can we keep track of like error log here too?
yeah, tomorrow I tell you how to track of the errors.
Okay. Okay. No
Yeah,
problem.
fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, and we'll meet tomorrow.